Hi friends, hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello, and welcome to another video. Oh my goodness. Today's video is actually one that I'm really excited about. I feel like I haven't done a video that's just kind of like purely my opinion about content stuff in a while, so I'm actually really excited to be filming this one. I've been thinking about this topic for a really long time, but a lot of events that have happened recently have definitely made me more curious to sort of explore this topic and talk about my thoughts on it. I feel like in 2020, TikTok started to really boom as an app, and it slowly over the past 2 years, a lot of creators on TikTok have sort of started monopolizing social media marketing campaigns and have also become incredibly popular and incredibly successful, making content that maybe wouldn't be as successful on a platform like YouTube. I think this sort of shift in social media is definitely something that's interesting to take note of and talk about, because I think a lot of this rise in TikTok content definitely poses the question of, are YouTube and in turn YouTube influencers sort of being taken over by TikTok and TikTok content creators? I feel like it's very important to say that obviously all of this is just literally my opinion. Like, there's not too many facts that you can pull from to back this up, but I think that this question has been posed a lot. Like, I made a video a few months back called The Rise and Fall of the Beauty Community, and in that video I just kind of talked about the YouTube beauty community has kind of fallen off, some of the reasons I think that that might be, and overwhelmingly a lot of the comments on that video were discussing the rise of the TikTok beauty guru and how most people were now getting their recommendations and product reviews and tutorials from TikTok accounts. And I think that that shift is really fascinating. So if you're interested in this video and you're interested in this conversation, you can keep on watching. Before we jump into today's video, it does have a sponsor, so let's roll to that. Hi friends, Editing Me here, and today's video is sponsored by Audible. Audible is an audio entertainment app that allows you to listen to tons of different audiobooks and also Audible originals. They have celebrity memoirs, sci-fi, romance novels, fiction, non-fiction, literally a book and genre for every single person and anything that you might be interested in, and also has just tons of exclusive and awesome podcasts. I've talked before about the Smartless podcast with Jason Bateman, Will Arnett, and Sean Hayes. Literally one of my favorites. I listen to it every week. However, recently, for about the past month, I've been using Audible, I'm not kidding, like every day, because like most people, I binged Bridgerton on Netflix and then found out that the show was actually based on a book series. I am currently on book number 5. I listen to my Audible account pretty much every free chance I get to continue on with the story because I just find it so fascinating. I've been obsessed with the Bridgerton books lately. Probably the time I use Audible the most is when I'm driving in my car. I feel like nothing makes a long drive go by faster than listening to an audiobook. Me and my husband save our Audible credits and save audiobooks we want to listen to for when we know that we're going to be on a long drive, so that way we can listen to them together, because there's literally nothing that makes the drive go by faster. Basically, with your membership, you get a credit every month that you can apply to literally any book on the website. It doesn't matter if it's a brand new release, hottest audiobook to come out right now, or it's something that's a lot older. You can use your credit on any of those, and you also can bank your credits over time. So if you're like me and you get obsessed with a series that has like 8 books out, like I did with Bridgerton, you can use your credits over time in order to get full series. If you're interested in trying Audible, you can go to audible.com/SmokeyGlow or text SmokeyGlow to 500-500. That's audible.com/SmokeyGlow or text SmokeyGlow to 500-500. Thank you so much to Audible for always keeping me entertained. I have been using this app for, I've been using it for so long at this point. I think I started using it when I was literally 20 years old. So 7 years I've been using the app and I have absolutely no complaint. It's one of my favorite entertainment services. Thank you so much to Audible for sponsoring this video and always keeping me entertained, and let's jump into the video. I sort of split this video and this script up in a couple of different segments because I do feel like there are sides of TikTok and communities on TikTok that have been much more successful in replacing YouTube content than other sides of TikTok. And I think the biggest one that has been very successful in sort of replacing what we knew as like the beauty guru is the beauty side of TikTok. Like I said, I've made videos talking about how I think the beauty community is definitely falling off a little bit. For a place where it's not falling off is on TikTok. Makeup creation and makeup tutorials and reviews are still incredibly popular on TikTok. One of the biggest being Michaela Noguera. Now, Michaela has over 10 million followers on TikTok and is by far one of the most popular creators on there. And I think the a really interesting thing about her is that she very much reminds me of like a 2016 beauty guru. It's almost like we're repeating history with her account. And I don't mean that in a shady way, because I actually really like Michaela. I really like her content. I love her vibe. Like, I genuinely enjoy her. I just think it's really funny the way that content creation, and specifically in the beauty community, we see these sort of repetitive things. Michaela lives in Massachusetts and actually started posting content in 2020, which it's absolutely mind-boggling the amount of success and followers she's gotten in just the last 2 years. Like, absolutely blows my mind. But Michaela posts primarily makeup content, but she also sort of dabbles in fashion and lifestyle content, which again is very similar to what we were seeing from beauty gurus back in 2015, 2016. And honestly, and again, I don't mean this in a shady way, but she low-key kind of reminds me of like 2015 Jaclyn Hill. And I mean that in the sense that she's very, very focused on makeup education and product reviews. Michaela does these really in-depth kind of makeup tutorials where she shows people how she creates these really incredible eye looks, and she's actually a very good teacher. That's why she reminds me of Jaclyn, is because despite kind of the faults of Jaclyn Hill, I will say she was really good at teaching people how to do their makeup. And Michaela is also like that. She's very personable, she's funny, she shows you ways that are very beginner friendly how to do your makeup the way that she does it. And on top of that, she reminds me of Jaclyn Hill in a lot of ways, because literally every single product that she mentions sells out in minutes. Like, if she mentions a product on her TikTok page and you're 2 days late to seeing that video, all of the stuff she talked about is gone. She has an influence and an impact in the beauty marketing space that we haven't really seen in the past couple of years, ever since people sort of stopped trusting beauty guru recommendations. On top of that, Michaela has also done multiple collaborations with different brands. She had a collaboration with Glamlight. She recently just launched a sort of Michaela favorites kit with Glow Recipe. Like, she's working with a lot of these really major brands and coming out with a ton of different products. And these collaborations are doing incredibly well. Like, she's one of the first real TikTokers that I've seen do these sort of big brand collaborations, especially in the TikTok makeup space. And what she's doing right now is paving the way to show other brands that working with TikTokers and working with successful TikTokers can have an incredible impact and be incredibly successful. She also is, again, like doing these massive PR unboxing hauls, which again is very reminiscent of old school YouTube, where she gets like 10 million different packages a week from all of these different brands, and she's constantly doing these huge giveaways because she's getting so much free makeup, because brands are seeing the power that she has in the way that if she talks about something, it sells out and does very well. Her fan base not only like her content and show up in terms of content, like they engage with her posts, they put their money into what she says. And I think the crazy part about Michaela's TikTok in particular, also a lot of different makeup accounts on TikTok, is that those videos do crazy well. Like, they get numbers. They're getting millions and millions of views, hundreds and thousands of likes, like 50,000 comments. These videos do phenomenal on TikTok. And what I think is so fascinating is that if similar content was posted to YouTube, those videos would not do as well. Like, Michaela probably, if she was posting to YouTube in a more traditional sense, her content probably would not be doing as well as it is today. So I think that this really begs the question, why is this content so popular on TikTok? That similar content doesn't transfer to the YouTube audience. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. I think one of the major things that is really important to talk about is that the TikTok beauty community has absolutely not been sort of embroiled in scandal the same way that the YouTube community was. From about 2018 to 2021, it felt like you couldn't breathe without drama video after drama video being posted about all of these different creators. Like, it felt like every single day there was something new and someone was doing something problematic or terrible and messed up. And wow, a lot of people in the YouTube community tuned in for that drama and was very interested in all of that while it was unfolding. I think that over time, this massive amount of drama constantly happening over and over and over again really did hurt, especially the top members of the beauty community. And I think that that almost had a trickle-down effect for people who maybe weren't in drama, but people were just sick of everyone in general who was always talking about makeup. The TikTok beauty community is incredibly supportive reflective of one another. And while I think you could make the argument that maybe they haven't been around long enough for creators to have beef and creators to have drama and problems, and I think that's a good point. Like, there probably will inevitably be some type of scandal that happens in the TikTok beauty space. While it's been around a lot less longer, I think that the drama fatigue that happened for a lot of people played a big role into why a lot of people gave up on the YouTube makeup community in the first place. I think because the YouTube beauty community is seen as such a shit show, the TikTok beauty community seems so kind and fun and amazing in comparison because they all are just there talking about makeup. It's kind of like, I feel like people always say, they're like, oh, I wish I could go back to the days on YouTube where it's all like tutorial based and review based and it's all about just like the love of makeup. And that is the type of content that people are currently getting from the beauty community on TikTok. Also, going off of that, I think a lot of top creators in the YouTube beauty space really screwed everyone over in like 2014, 2015 when they started doing really predatory marketing practices. They weren't disclosing ads, they weren't disclosing affiliate codes properly. It felt like everybody was shoving the same 3 brands down your throat that gave them the highest amount of commission. And TikTok is not like that. I see so many TikTok beauty creators who their main primary focus is to talk about indie brands. They're not pushing a code. They're not pushing, trying to make money off of the products they're selling. They seem like they're just finding products that genuinely interest them from brands that you maybe haven't heard of before and giving those brands a space and a voice to be successful. And while I think that maybe over time that's going to change a little bit, I could see similar things start happening with the TikTok beauty community that did with YouTube, where brands almost kind of taint the whole process. It definitely has not happened yet, and I think that that positivity that's surrounding the community makes it more enjoyable and fun to watch, and it doesn't feel so much like it's like a QVC style video. It feels like you're just genuinely being recommended products that are actually going to be good. Now, I think one of the more obvious reasons that a lot of communities have found success on TikTok that haven't on YouTube anymore is simply because of how much shorter the video is. It is so much easier if you're interested in, say, like the new Patrick Ta palette. If you're interested in that palette, it is so much more interesting and feasible and makes more sense to go watch 1 to 3 minute review of that palette. Does it blend? Is it good? Is it not good? Are the shimmers good? And make a decision about if you're gonna buy it based on that, than it is to go watch a 25-minute YouTube video reviewing the palette and doing like 3 different looks with it. I think that honestly a big thing that TikTok has done in general as an app has made people's attention span a lot shorter. People don't necessarily want to sit and watch a 25-minute video about a singular product when all of that information can be easily condensed into a 1 to 3 minute video that content creators are making. I think this is a problem across the board, is people's sort of lack of interest in longer form content. And that's not to say that some communities have not been able to still be very successful despite this, but I think when you're talking about something like the beauty community or the fashion community or the lifestyle community, when somebody has the talent of being able to condense all of their thoughts, it kind of gives you the impression of like, again, why would I watch this 20-minute video when I could watch this 3-minute one, get all of the same information? On top of that, get that information from a person that I trust significantly more than I do YouTube creators. And I think it's the same way with makeup tutorials. I think people, especially younger people, are a little bit over watching a 25-minute makeup tutorial and would much rather sit down and try to emulate something that somebody showed them step by step in like 3 minutes. I think number one, the reason for that is because the style of makeup that people do now is very much different than it was a few years ago. Like the very simple, glowy, like soft glam look is very popular right now, and that is much easier to condense into one video. But on top of that, it's a lot less fluff surrounding a video the way that there is in YouTube videos, and is much more direct and to the point, which is what I think people are sort of craving from beauty content. I also think something that's very, very interesting, besides the sort of logistical reasons I think people are watching TikToks more than YouTube when it comes to beauty, is that I think that beauty gurus almost were not given the same level of privacy that TikTok content creators are getting. I feel like in the beauty space, especially a couple of years ago when it was really popping off on YouTube, it was really expected that As a content creator who was doing makeup, you were not just sitting down, recording yourself doing makeup and then like leaving. That's kind of how it started. But as the beauty community started to evolve and more people with more personalities started to get into the space, it almost became expected that you were not only maybe a makeup artist or a makeup reviewer, but now you were also a storyteller. You were telling things about your life. You were talking about your life. I feel like Get Ready With Me's were huge because people wanted to know and craved knowing information about all of these massive YouTubers that they were watching. It was almost like you had to be a very personable and open person in order to be successful in the beauty space at that time. And that same trend is not really happening on TikTok. I know a lot of beauty content creators on TikTok who have millions of followers and never do that. There's some people who quite literally just lip sing while they're showing themselves doing makeup and trying out products, and they get millions and millions of views and millions of engagement, and you know nothing about them. You don't even know what their voice sounds like, but you like the way that they do makeup and you like the way that it looks, so you follow them and get inspiration from them for your makeup looks. You no longer need to be this massive personality to be super successful on TikTok, and not having to do that does give people a lot more privacy than they used to have on YouTube. It gives people a lot less room to fuck up about things. I think because people were being so open and honest, well, sometimes honest, sometimes not, but because people were just being so open, and that openness was really an expectation at the time, it made it a lot easier to really dislike people because you knew so much about them that you could possibly dislike. Whereas now, you don't really know a lot about the beauty content creators that you're following on TikTok. You just know that they're good at makeup, and that's enough for you. It actually makes it significantly easier for those creators to go back to focusing on what a lot of consumers of this content were saying they wanted, which was purely just all about the makeup, none of the fluff. And because they're able to have that privacy, because nobody is expecting them to open up about like a breakup they had in a 3-minute video, because that expectation hasn't been set for them, it's easier for them to do that. Now, one thing I will say about the TikTok beauty space that I do think is sort of a con to it, because honestly, I really like the TikTok beauty space. I follow a lot of people on there. I watch a ton of beauty content on TikTok. I have a lot of fun like watching all of it and creating looks based off cool looks that I see there. But one of the things that I do think is a downside is that not necessarily that level of accountability on TikTok. And I think that's because for a lot of people that go on TikTok and watch it, God, don't take a shot every time I say TikTok in this video. Oh my God, absolutely not. Just water or coffee. Maybe coffee. I think that because it's primarily a younger audience that's on TikTok, like for the most part, there is a lot less sort of accountability that sometimes happens with product reviews. Like TikTok content creators, because they're going back to that sort of just focus on the makeup thing, a lot of the bigger creators aren't talking about things like poor shade ranges or problems that have happened with the brand or controversies that might have happened with the brand. When they say they're just focusing on the makeup, that is quite literally what they mean. And something that I at least really appreciated about the YouTube space was that sense of accountability for brands. I felt like it not only helped the consumer know who they were shopping from and know who they were supporting with their money, but I also think it helped make a lot of strides in what we've seen change about the beauty community because people were so critical about different makeup and different releases and things like that. And while I can see how that sort of escapism from the problem that beauty brands might have is probably a benefit and a good thing for people, because like I said, the drama fatigue from YouTube beauty is very real. I do also think there's cons to that where brands are maybe not being held as accountable as they once were, because a lot of the big creators are not talking about any of the faults or flaws with a brand or with a brand's product launch. Now, besides the beauty community on YouTube, because obviously they're not the only ones who have been struggling with this sort of competition from other creators on a different app, I think another community that has taken a little bit of a hit is the sort of fashion community on YouTube. And I think that this one is actually very positive. I think the big reason that the fashion community on TikTok has sort of taken over fashion creators here on YouTube is because of the heavy focus on TikTok of sustainability and not utilizing fast fashion. I feel like a lot of fashion creators here on YouTube were really heavily focused on like White Fox Boutique and like Princess Polly and Shein, like all of these different brands that were very fast fashion forward. Here's the thing. I think the conversation around fast fashion is kind of a difficult one to have. I know there's a lot of discourse about it. I personally see both sides of the argument. I see how unethical it is. I see how bad it is. I see all of the problems with fast fashion, but I also take issue with shaming people who are basically forced to utilize those types of websites in order to either find clothes that fit them properly or find clothes that are actually affordable to them. I think it is a very privileged position to sit there and say any person who buys from a fast fashion clothing brand is like a bad person, because it is a privilege to be able to shop sustainably. We're focusing our energies sometimes on the wrong people. I think it should be much more focused on improving the brands and the brand side of things instead of shaming the people who are basically forced to buy those types of clothes. But anyway, sorry, it's a very different video. But I will say, I think that what TikTok has done very differently is that they're very focused on sustainable fashion. They're focused on thrifting, reusing pieces that you love and reusing clothing instead of just buying a whole bunch of it and just constantly cycling through your wardrobe. The TikTok fashion challenges that happen are all about utilizing clothing that you already have to create some different type of look. Like, some of my favorite fashion trends on TikTok are when people try to make clothing that would fit in with a certain movie. This is what I would look like if I was dressing like the Powerpuff Girls in modern day. And they're utilizing pieces that they already have in order to create all of these different cool looks, and also promoting that other people do that. And same thing with thrifting. The rise of thrifting hauls and estate hauls on TikTok is a wonderful thing to see. I think a big reason for this happening is because the content creators on TikTok are primarily Gen Z or millennials, and obviously environmental issues are incredibly important to that group of people. It's something that people my age, a little bit older and a little bit younger, feel like very, very passionately about. And so obviously this sort of rise in sustainability makes a lot of sense. And I think that also with this rise in sustainability on TikTok, there's been a rise in people being way more informed on what it actually means to shop from fast fashion websites, which has in turn led to a lot of YouTubers starting to be criticized for posting fast fashion clothing hauls all of the time. I'm not trying to shame people for shopping fast fashion. I will, however, say that YouTubers who I know for a fact are millionaires constantly doing Shein hauls every month is a little off-putting. And this sort of rise in awareness around fast fashion has definitely led to a lot of other YouTubers kind of getting shit on for still posting those things. Like, I know Nikki and Gabby DiMartino recently did collaborations with Shein. They like did capsule clothing collections or something with the brand, and their comments are really filled with negativity and hate for them working on this project with them because they are promoting something and working with a brand that is so unsustainable. I also think another important thing to note that's very different about TikTok versus YouTube is really the rise in body positivity on TikTok. There are so many creators that have dedicated their accounts to showing that you can be any size, any body type, and you can look good in all of these different clothes. And not only can you look good, you can feel good and feel confident in all of these different clothing. I feel like on YouTube, the very popular people in the clothing category and things like that were all either people that were really skinny or people that maybe were like mid-size to plus size, but had an hourglass body shape that was not something that every person has. Because it's so easy and accessible for people to start making TikToks, you literally just need a phone. Like, you need a smartphone. That is quite literally all you need to start making TikTok content. I think because it is so easy for people to make content on the app and post, you see a lot more diversity amongst the people that are posting things like clothing hauls, and you get inspiration and style from somebody who almost definitely looks like you. It's a lot easier to find representation for yourself and for who you look like on TikTok than it is on YouTube. And obviously, I think a lot of the things that I said about the beauty community on TikTok versus YouTube absolutely applies to the fashion genre as well. People have a lot more privacy. Creators are able to not so much focus the content around themselves, but instead purely on the fashion. I also think the videos being shorter are way more helpful. But the other thing I think that's important to note is kind of what I already said, but like, it's so much easier, I think, for TikTokers to seem relatable to people. And I know that seems kind of obvious, but it's like when people were first starting to really post on YouTube, a lot of people were doing it because they wanted to be a YouTuber. Like, you didn't go through the trouble of learning how to put footage on an SD card, take it off, edit it in like frickin' iMovie for no reason. TikTok is so much easier to use and so much more user-friendly that anybody can do it. So when you see people have this massive success kind of out of the blue and not really expecting it, it's honestly really cool and exciting to see, because those people don't seem like they're just in it for the clout of it all. A lot of these people more so just seem really humbled and excited that something they thought they were just doing, like making a TikTok just for their friends, blew up and reached so many different people. I do want to say really quickly, before I get into sort of the next genre of content creator, is that I do think there is this misconception about TikTok that you don't make any money from TikTok. I feel like it's become very transparent over the years that YouTubers are able to make a lot of money. Like, we know for a fact that all of these top creators are millionaires from producing YouTube content. That's not a secret. But when TikTok really first started, first of all, you couldn't even get paid at all at first, and then they started the TikTok Creator Fund, which, to be fair, does pay you significantly less than the YouTube Partnership Program. However, these TikTokers don't not make money. They make a lot of money, actually, in sponsorship deals, brand deals. The TikTok Creator Fund does pay them out a decent amount of money. And also, because it's so much easier to go viral and get engagement on posts, they make a lot more in sponsorship. On YouTube, like, I had a sponsor at the beginning of this video, right? That was 3 minutes of what's probably gonna be a 40-minute video. So that's 3 minutes that the brand is getting, so I get paid less for that because the entire video is not focused on this brand. Because TikToks are able to be so much shorter, and you literally could just make a 30-second ad to put on your feed, which people do, that is more marketable and more valuable than it would be for a YouTube creator who's putting something at the beginning of their post. And I think that's a really important point to make when we talk about this other genre of YouTuber that I feel like is getting sort of phased out by TikTok, and that's definitely the lifestyle YouTuber. Now, this is something I really didn't think about before until Coachella. Coachella really made me, and kind of the Oscars actually, Coachella really made me realize that sort of vloggers and lifestyle content creators that were really popping off in YouTube from like 2012 to 2017 are absolutely being phased out by lifestyle content creators on TikTok. If you look at a ton of the really top creators on TikTok, pretty much all they do is like post thirst traps or post vlogs from their day or post themselves lip syncing to an audio that's really popular at the time. They're not really posting too much personal content about themselves, but they are still deemed as influencers and lifestyle influencers, and they are still making massive amounts of money. And again, I think the really interesting thing about this genre of TikTokers is that they are absolutely following in the footsteps of a lot of people who got really famous doing lifestyle content on YouTube. All of them are moving to LA. All of them are making friends with other people who also create this lifestyle content on TikTok. All of them are getting managers and working with brands and going to parties all the time and meeting up with each other. And it's just so crazy to see how heavily history is basically repeating itself from YouTube to now all of these new age TikTokers. Like, if you look at events like Coachella, primarily the influencers who got a lot of sponsorships and brand deals and were sent there by brands this year, like really big name brands, they were TikTokers. People said that the VIP section of Coachella this year was basically the TikTok For You page. It used to be the YouTube homepage, but now TikTokers are absolutely overtaking that type of genre. And I think this one is it's a little bit more obvious why I think this is happening. I don't mean to say this in a shady way, but I think that a lot of people who watched YouTube back in those days, who are really into that lifestyle content, they either sort of grew out of that content or they grew up with those content creators and they still watch them. Now, these TikTokers are mostly younger people. So obviously the younger generation of people who are on social media and watching social media creators all the time, obviously they're gonna wanna watch people that are relatable to them. And what's not really relatable to them is people who are in their late 20s who are like doing adult things. Like, that's not relatable to someone who's 17 years old. They want to watch someone like Charlie D'Amelio or Dixie D'Amelio or Addison Rae or Lauren Gray. Like, they want to watch people that are a little bit younger, that are going through the same things that they're going through. And it's not that I think younger people can't enjoy content creation from people who are maybe older than them. But I think when we're specifically talking about the lifestyle genre, it makes perfect sense that because all of these content creators are making this content on TikTok, that has led to a decrease in people watching YouTube and an increase in them watch. That's just where the content is. That's where all the influencers are. I know Charles's younger sister, she watches a ton of TikToks and she knows who like all of these people are. I have not a fucking clue who they are, but that just speaks to the truth of it. Like, younger people know who these people are, so they're getting more attention and more influence now, and older people like myself don't. And that's just kind of how it is. Now, before we end this video, I do really quickly want to talk about also sort of the sides of YouTube and the genres of YouTube that I don't think have been as affected by this rise in TikTok. Because I feel like up till this point, this video has almost been very like, fuck YouTube, YouTube's dying. And I don't necessarily think that's true. I think what we're entering right now is a phase, and maybe I'm wrong, but I think we're entering a phase where TikTok sort of complements YouTube and they complement each other. I don't see it as TikTok completely taking over everything that YouTube has to offer, because I still think there's types of content that does incredibly well on YouTube that can't really be reformulated to fit into a TikTok video the same way that a lot of these other genres can be. I mean, if you think of channels like Mr.Beast, his content is so big and so out there and so extra, and it's long form and it's intense and it takes so much money to film, produce, and upload and everything like that. And he's still getting hundreds of millions of views per video. His channel is still exploding and not at all in competition with TikTok, because you really can't do what he's doing on TikTok. That type of video, it needs to be longer. It needs to be 15 to 20 minutes. You can't put it in a 1 to 3 minute video. Like, can you imagine him trying to condense the Squid Games video into a 3-minute video? It never would have worked. It would have felt too rushed. It wouldn't have been nearly as interesting or exciting or entertaining. And I think it's the same way with tech videos. Like, you have Mark Rober, who still, again, pulls in tens of millions of views per video. And his content, it's very educational based, at least most of it. So it's very well thought out. It's usually about 15 to 20 minute videos. They sort of have to be that long because he's literally explaining science to people. And you can't really shove all of that information into a 3-minute video and still have it be digestible to people. You look at people like Ryan Trahan, who is absolutely exploding on the platform right now. His videos are doing so incredibly well, and that's because, yet again, you can't really have what he does and the way that he does storytelling in a 3-minute video. His storytelling is a little bit more drawn out, a little bit longer form content, but the end result is so satisfying because there's always this sort of like beautiful lesson at the end of a video, or even if it's just a funny lesson. Like, there's always something fun at the end of his videos that ties everything together and tells a story so wonderfully, and that's not something that you can really replicate on a platform like TikTok. I think too that's very similar with channels like Drew Gooden and Danny Gonzalez and, you know, The Right Opinion, Jay Aubrey, sort of long form video essayists or people who do that more long form comedy / informational content. That's, again, not something that you can really put into a 3-minute video. Like, literally The Right Opinion makes like 3-hour films at this point that get like 5 million views. You can't condense all of that information and all of his talking points into a 3-minute video and still have it be as good. And while I definitely think people are looking for things that are shorter and a little bit less time consuming to watch, I also think there is still absolutely a market for longer form content. I think where the evolution is going to come into play a little bit is that I think we are sort of seeing the death of the 10-minute YouTube video. Like, I know that still obviously there's going to be certain channels that are going to get millions of views no matter what, but I will say I think that 10-minute YouTube videos are not doing as well as they once did, simply because I think a lot of people are like, I could just watch 3 TikToks in that time and get all of this other information. Like, if it can be a 10-minute video, chances are it could probably also be squeezed down into a 3-minute video. I think we're seeing creators shift into this more long-form content and into content that is longer, because what that shows is that if you're clicking on it, it really couldn't be condensed. It needed to be a little bit longer. I don't think that YouTube YouTube as a whole is dying, kind of like I said, but I do think that we're either going to see certain communities maybe die out a little bit, at least for the short term, because obviously everything comes in ebbs and flows on the internet. Like one day something is very popular, the next day it's not. That's kind of how it's always been. So there's obviously going to be these sort of ebbs and flows. But I also think we are going to start to see an evolution of the way that YouTube content creators make content to keep up with the sort of competition of TikTok. Because it used to be you were making content that was supposed to be pulling someone from maybe another YouTube video they were watching to your video. But now you're making content that you want people to pull from one app to another completely different app. Like you want your thumbnail or title or whatever it is, the length of your video to be so catchy that it pulls someone away from the endless scrolling on TikTok, switches an app, and then they watch your video instead of content over there, which is definitely an adjustment and a type of video competition that really hasn't been around since Vine. And even on Vine, those videos were so fucking short, it was not nearly the same. Like you could not do a makeup review in 6 seconds on Vine. I think that when TikTok first started to grow in popularity as a platform, a lot of people really took it as a joke. Like I know I myself, I downloaded the app as a joke. I was just like, why the fuck is everyone talking about TikTok? And now I watch it literally more than I watch YouTube videos. I make YouTube videos and I watch TikTok more because I find it more fulfilling and interesting to me than a lot of other YouTube videos that I used to be very into. It's something that was honestly looked down on and very joked about. Like people who made TikTok content were not taken seriously, but now we're seeing TikTok creators going to the fucking Oscars and being featured on celebrity red carpets at the Oscars. And I would bet anything, since the Met Gala is coming up, you're gonna see significantly more TikTokers at the Met Gala than we are YouTubers this year. Basically overnight, TikTokers have taken a lot of that mainstream recognition that YouTubers were starting to get. And I think the reason for that is number one, obviously TikTok's very popular, the creators are very popular right now. But number two, I think that TikTokers are sort of riding the wave that was set by YouTube content creators. A lot of YouTube content creators made it really their mission to be seen as more serious in the mainstream media, to make content creation on the internet be seen as a more serious, legitimate form of celebrity. So I think now that all these TikTokers are coming in, people are saying like, okay, we see you, we recognize you as a more traditional celebrity. So they've been allowed these opportunities that are building them up even higher very, very quickly. And I think that's gonna be so fascinating to watch what happens going forward, not only watching how YouTubers in turn are gonna sort of pivot and try to compensate for this, but also just to see where these TikTokers go. Like Charli D'Amelio is one of the most followed people in the world. Where does she go from here? Like where does all of this go for her from here? I'm very curious and interested to see how this all plays out. I'm really interested to know what you guys think about all of this, your opinions on this topic. I'm sure that you all will have either the same or different opinions, but I can't wait to read them either way. I love you guys so much. I hope you like this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and my social justice spotlight will be linked down below, along with my podcast and vlog channel. You can go check those out. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!